You're listening to the Vocabbett podcast, where I help students improve their vocabulary for the SAT, ACT, and life itself using my unique and research-backed story-based method. On this podcast, I'm sharing the best tips and tricks for a more enriched vocabulary and pain-free test day. Hello, and welcome to episode 16 of the Vocabbett podcast. I'm Erica Abbott, a former English and history teacher, the author of the young adult novel Ahead of Her Time, and the founder of the eponymously named vocabulary company, Vocabbett. So before we dive into the third way to instantly sound smarter, if you're new here, we're in the middle of a little mini-series called 5 Ways to Instantly Sound Smarter. And actually, if you're new here, I really recommend going back to episode 1 of the podcast and proceeding chronologically. It'll just help you get a better idea of how my method works and what I do here. So don't start at the most recent, go back and start at the beginning if you're new here. But for those of you who are with me each week, I have a pretty exciting Vocabbett update for you. So one of the questions that I am constantly asking myself is, how can I help you more? How can I help you learn more? How can I help you grow more? How can I make life better for you? That's how this podcast started. It's a great free resource to supplement your learning during these school closures and beyond. And the next place where I see a real gap forming is in summer opportunities. A lot of internships and summer camps have been either postponed or put on hiatus. And depending on what you had lined up, that might put a real wrench in things when it comes to either building your resume or earning some extra cash over the summer or both. And I would like to help you with that by extending the opportunity for people who have been loving Vocabbett to become Vocabbett Ambassadors. It is virtual, but being a Vocabbett Ambassador can help fill out your resume a little bit and provide you with some extra summer cash. In a nutshell, you get to help me spread the word about Vocabbett, and for every person you refer who signs up, you can earn $40. You can sign up as many people as you want. There's no limit. So if you share Vocabbett with 10 friends, that could be $400. There are more details available at the Vocabbett website. If you want to learn more and apply, definitely talk it over with your parents first, make sure it's okay with them. Then head to vocabbett.com/ambassadors to learn more. I'll leave that link in the show notes, and you can also find it if you just go to the Vocabbett website. That's VOC and then Abbott, like my last name, ABBETT. It's in the menu, just the 3 little lines on the side. If you are a parent and you want to share Vocabbett with your network, you are also completely welcome to become a Vocabbett Ambassador. It's the same terms and same link and everything for you, vocabbett.com/ambassadors. I cannot wait to see you guys there and continue building Vocabbett with you. All right, let's dive into the heart of today's program, which is the third way to instantly sound smarter. You'll recall that in episode 1 of this series, we mastered good versus well. Good describes things, well describes things that people do. And in episode 2, we mastered less versus fewer. Less is for anything inquantifiable, things that you can't count. Fewer is for things that you can count. So less of a mess, but fewer cookies, because you can count cookies. And today, we are doing another one that is so simple once you break it down, but I hear it constantly. I'm going to read a few sentences, and out of curiosity, I want to see if you can catch it. There's so many things I have to do today. There's a lot of really good options here. There's 10 things on this menu that I want to order. Now, being the clever Vocabbett listener that you are, you might have noticed a recurring theme throughout those sentences. So even if you didn't catch the exact error, you're probably very close to it. And yes, it's in the theirs. THERE''S. I know there, and there, THEIR, yada, 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 is a hot button topic, but that's actually not what we're going to talk about right now because this is ways to sound smarter, not to spell better. So we're not even going there. This is a different one. So theirs, THERE''S. It is a word, absolutely is a word. It's just the contraction for there is. But let me reread those sentences with the contraction removed. There is so many things I have to do today. There is a lot of really good options here. There is 10 things on this menu that I want to order. Oh, I'm guessing that the issue is glaringly obvious now. In those sentences, it should be there are. There are so many things I have to do today. There are a lot of really good options here. There are 10 things on this menu that I want to order. The third way to instantly sound smarter is to be mindful of the contraction theirs. And there are plenty of times when theirs is grammatically correct to use. There's a snake in my boot. That's Woody from Toy Story, by the way. There is a snake in my boot. Totally fine. There's a pint of ice cream in the freezer. There is a pint of ice cream in the freezer. Great. If you remove that contraction, it still makes sense. But what people do is they get a little too comfortable with theirs, just like they get a little too comfortable with good, and they start to use it for everything. So, yes, there's a pint of ice cream in the freezer. But if you say there's 2 pints of ice cream in the freezer, did you notice how easily that rolled off the tongue? Such a sneaky grammatical error. But if you remove the contraction, there is 2 pints of ice cream in the freezer? No, there are 2 pints of ice cream in the freezer. So you can't have that contraction there. To sound smarter, you have to take that extra second and say, there are 2 pints of ice cream in the freezer. Unfortunately, you can't contract everything to theirs because if you remove that apostrophe and actually say the words that that contraction signifies, it doesn't always make sense. If it should be there are in the actual drawn out sentence, you can't contract it to theirs because that means there is. From the sentences earlier, remember, it should be there are a lot of things I have to do today. There are a lot of really good options here. There are 10 things on this menu I want to order. And that's how you need to phrase it. All right, that's the third way to instantly sound smarter. Be mindful of the contraction theirs and know that sometimes it should be there are. If you're enjoying my painless approach to learning, I highly recommend getting a Vocabbett membership. In addition to a huge vault of videos on everything from etymology to mindset, a digital copy of my book, all of my vocabulary boosting stories, and so much more, you also get bi-weekly podcast accompaniments, which make episodes like this one, where there's a lot of spelling and minutia, easier to grasp. Sometimes it's just easier to see these things. You can sign up for that at vocabbett.com. That's Vocabbett, V-O-C, and then Abbott, like my last name, A-B-B-E-T-T. Thank you so much. I will be back on Thursday with the fourth way to instantly sound smarter. If you are interested in the Vocabbett Ambassador program, don't forget to apply. I know we are mid-finals right now, so I've made it a rolling application. Don't stress out about it. It's not something you need to do today. But the sooner you apply, the sooner you can get started. All right, thank you so much. I will see you guys on Thursday.